August 19th, Friday. I'm here on Indian Shores, walking the beach, the Gulf of Mexico. The tide is low, so there's a lot of birds. As you can see, there's a whole flock of them right there. Seagulls. Yeah, I don't think they're alien spies, but they're cute. Some people see them as a nuisance. Anyway, here I am doing my first selfie stick video, and I thought I would take you for a walk and do a little tour. So this was the beach that I witnessed the USO, the underwater submerged object, come out of the ocean here about 100 yards off of where I'm standing. And it was at night. It was after sunset. And that was in April of 1995, and it totally changed my life. And it was a paradigm shift for me because it got me to research seriously what is going on. So here we are in 2022, and I don't think a day goes by where you don't see some kind of news story about the Tic Tac video, which obviously ended up in the ocean, other videos and photos of ships coming and going into the ocean. So I ask you, what is going on? Okay, so I know what I know, and what I don't know, I don't know, you know? So this is what I know. I know that there are portals inside, under the ocean bed, that are ancient, and they lead to the inner earth. Similar to what Admiral Byrd discovered with the holes in the poles, both the north and the south. But what's happening in between? And anyone who's following the solar weather knows that we are in the middle of a pole shift. So what happens to those poles? So my point is that they're not the only openings on the planet where ships can come and go. Where the Gulf of Mexico, right here, is probably an ancient portal that connects to the inner earth. Otherwise, why are there so many anomalies here? And what I saw, I wish I had a camera, but that was in 1995, before cell phones, and who takes pictures in the dark anyway. But I will say that night, my friend, who was, he is deceased now, Barry Miles, may rest in peace, but he was a member of MUFON back then, and he told me that night, MUFON received 350 calls along the beaches here of people who witnessed the UFO. I saw it literally coming out of the ocean. I was sitting on the beach watching the sunset. The sunset was done, and you kind of hang out, and it's warm, and so I saw it literally come out of the ocean. I thought at first it was like, what was that? I heard the swooshing sound. It was, I thought it was a whale, or and then I saw metallic start to emerge. I thought, oh my goodness, maybe it's a submarine. And then it was like the size of a football field, just silver, disc-shaped. It hovered like maybe about 10 feet above the water's surface, and all the foam that it created, all of the water was just like swishing and falling, and then I guess it got itself clear, and it just shot up into the sky like within seconds, and it became what looked like a star, because the stars were out that night. And then I watched it, and it just disappeared into what looked like a portal in space, and that was it. So the reports were that other people saw it too. They probably saw it go up. They probably saw it come from the beach. I'm not really sure because, you know, yeah, these are my friends over here. The seagulls. Yeah, Nick Pope says they may be alien spies. So you never know. What do they see? They have witnessed a lot. Just joking. And so what is going on here? What are we missing? What are we not seeing? We know that people like Stephen Greer, who, let's face it, he has done a lot of work for disclosure, working with the government. He has done tons of research. He's very knowledgeable. But why? Why does he take this position that aliens are not a threat? Why does he use this argument or debate, if you will, that, well, if they were such a threat, why haven't they wiped us off the planet or killed us all by now? Well, my answer is that there are worse things than death. Okay, just look at the history of planet Earth. How many people have suffered all around the planet with all kinds of enslavements and persecution. Human trafficking, for instance. Sex trafficking. Pedo rings. Torturous chambers. The Holocaust. Concentration camps, just to name a few. I would consider them all threats. And when I talk to people about this and I say, well, just like we look at cattle, how we treat cattle, we wouldn't wipe them off the face of the earth. Why? Because we need them. We need them for food, we need them for milk, we need them for leather, and we keep them going because they're more valuable to us alive than dead. Obviously, when people are ready to slaughter for food, well, then those, but there's always other cattle. They wouldn't wipe them off the face of the earth. So that argument just doesn't hold water. No pun intended. And why? These are questions that everyone needs to ask before they take one viewpoint and run with it like some kind of cult. Okay? Because that's when people stop questioning things and they just follow the leader. Okay? And recently there was the 1,500-page document dump that came down from the Pentagon about the neurological and biological effects that they've been studying for people who have had been in close proximity and contact with alien technologies, UFOs, spaceships, even the beings themselves, all the way from different types of brain damage, skin burns, to missing pregnancies. And speaking of missing pregnancies, I don't know how many of you have seen UFO Witness, but they interviewed me, and that was the first time I went public with my personal story, which I have kept hidden for almost 30 years, mainly 22 years, because I became a mother. And when you become a mother, everything changes. So I held back on telling my story because I didn't want my daughter to grow up with all kinds of mockery and, being teased at school. Oh, your mother gave birth to aliens, you've got alien brothers and sisters, that kind of nonsense. So that's why I kept it to myself. But my daughter is now a young adult, and we're very proud of her and how she has grown up. And so this was the year that I came out. And I told my story to UFO Witness, and I woke up in 1995, the same year I saw the USO come out of this ocean right here. And that was in April, and then 6 months later, in October of 1995, I had this experience at night. I thought I had cramps, and I thought I was having a period, and it just, was a little more intense than usual, and I took an ibuprofen and went to sleep and woke up, and there were these two beings at the edge of my bed, little grays with round eyes, not almond-shaped eyes, and I get up and I go to the bathroom, and I saw something I never saw before. And I told my husband, and then called the hospital, and they said, scoop it up in the Ziploc bag, bring it down and come into the emergency room, which we did. And they basically determined that it was a miscarriage, and it was between 8 to 10 weeks pregnant. And everything was intact, and the only thing that was missing was the fetus. Well, I think I would have seen that in the midst of everything, because I scooped everything up pretty good. And that's what the beings were there for. And then I started to wake up to what was happening to me. So when that government report came out about the missing pregnancies, it it validated and vindicated what I have been through. And that all came out this year, and January was the year my birthday's in January, the beginning of the year, and it was the year I decided to come out with my story. So, no coincidence there, but I'm just going to walk back here because there's people over there, and the beach it's getting nice today, so there's a lot of people out, and the birds are really chill, they're just hanging out. So the point is that in the same year, I see this USO come out of the ocean here. I was living down the beach here, across the street actually from the beach, not on the beach, but on the intercoastal, and that happened to me. So that's when I woke up in every way, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, to what was happening to me. And it made sense because my husband and I were married here in 1991, October 8th of 1991, St. Petersburg, Florida. So we like to come back here from time to time, to sort of touch base with our roots, and how could I forget that? And then after, it took me about 4.5 years to get pregnant, and to hold on to a pregnancy and have a human baby, and that my daughter was born in March of 2000. So it's one of those things that it's very emotional, and it's kind of disturbing, and you wonder, I don't remember signing up for that, and but nevertheless, I was used probably most of my menstrual life, as an incubator. So I had to go to do a lot of different steps to get clear of that, in order to be able to handle a pregnancy. The point, and I did. and the proof is in the pudding. I had a healthy baby, and she's a wonderful soul and a blessing to this planet, in my opinion. But I'm her mother, so. But anyway, just very grateful. But at the same time, I'm trying to connect a dot here. That happened in the same year that I saw the USO. So, just saying. And then this government report talks about the effects of coming in contact or close proximity with these ships. So, back to our aliens a threat theory. In my humble opinion, I would say yes, because why are they using us? And how come we don't know about it consciously? Why do hypnotherapists have to go into, several layers to get people to talk about this stuff? Why is it buried so deep in us? Well, I can tell you that the Greys, they use a form of hypnotherapy called hypnagogy, which is like one level deeper than hypnotherapy, which is where these memories get stored and are buried. So, how is that not a threat? Okay, and it caused my endocrine system for years to be a little off. Every time you have a miscarriage, you go through hormonal changes, just like you do when you have a baby, and it isn't pleasant. I'm now postmenopausal, so out of it and proud of it. You know what I mean? I'm glad I'm not going through that, but I had to be put on bioidentical hormones to balance things. So, how is that not a problem for women in general? Just asking. And I don't remember ever signing up for that. So again, that's one level, not the only one, of the threat. And then the other question I ask is, if aliens weren't a threat, then how come the government has been putting together and reverse engineering and building a secret space program to protect Earth from an alien invasion? I mean, you would think that they would know a thing or two about, are these good guys or are they going to threaten us somehow? Look, so they haven't blown up the planet and they haven't killed everybody, but there is a lot of enslavement and vampirism and usury and abuse going on. I ask you, how is that not a threat? I'm not saying, now on the other hand, I'm not saying that they're all bad, like the Christian fringe has, and this is the other part I want to address, because I stand in the middle of these two extreme viewpoints. The Christian fringe, they take something out of the Bible, it's out of context, and then they run with it, and then it becomes another cult mentality, and everybody follows it blindly, and they don't even do their research. And this is something I'm constantly, addressing and even correcting on my posts on Facebook when people come on and they go, oh, you can't talk about aliens without them saying all aliens are demons. Well, that's half the story, okay? And they don't have the other half. And that's what I am inserting and adding to the mix here, is that the Bible, okay, if they're going to quote the Bible talks about the hosts of heaven. The Lord of hosts, which in Hebrew is Adonai Sibaot, which literally translates to the Lord of celestial armies. Who are these armies? And who are these hosts of heaven? Which is what I question and attempt to answer in my research in Who's Who in the Cosmic Zoo, particularly Book 3, Who are the Angels? Because these are considered the angels. But what is an angel? An angel is just a messenger. Angelos is Greek for messenger. Malachim in Hebrew is is the word they use for angels, which are messengers. And most of, in fact, all except for one instance in the Bible, they all showed up as men. So can we just call them extraterrestrials, extra-dimensional messengers? When people hear the word angel, they immediately think, and there's an image in their head that is like, with the wings, kind of like these birds. They fly, they have wings. And maybe the reason why the Renaissance painters painted angels with wings was because it was artistic messaging for that they had the ability to fly. And maybe, and I'm not denying that there aren't angels that can fly. I mean, if they're interdimensional, they can go in and out of dimensions and portals and fly in and fly out, go up. The Bible says the angels go up to the courts of heaven and then they come down to earth and they interface with humans and God. I mean, that's written in the ancient Jewish scriptures, which, of course, let's not forget, the Church of Rome wanted to delete and deny and reject, and they created the whole doctrine of anti-Semitism, which was Constantine's creed, that said if you had anything to do with Judaism, or you practiced the feasts of the Lord, or which they call the Jewish feasts, but they actually belong to the Lord, or if you did Sabbath on a Saturday and not a Sunday, or you refused to eat what they called unclean meat, pork and stuff like that, you're a Judaizer and you're anathema to Rome. Okay, so that began replacement theology and the doctrines of anti-Semitism, and history tells us what happened from it. Okay, which isn't good. Okay, so this is where I'm going with this. Who's to say that, first of all, the Church of Rome wasn't a threat? Of course they were, especially to the Jews and everybody else. And today, you have all these people who, were born into Catholicism, and they leave it, and they question, and they doubt if God is real, because the church isn't representing who the Lord really is. Because they have tried to strip the Jewishness out of Jesus, and they basically lost the heart of the roots of early Messianic Christianity. And let's face it, Jesus was Jewish, so were all the disciples, and so was the early church. And that's evidenced in the history. I mean, even Paul, who used to be Saul, he was a Pharisee. And the point is that the aliens, who's to say that the aliens did not start this, okay, as a way to enslave, and they used the Vatican, well, it's now called the Vatican, it wasn't back then, the Church of Rome, the ancient Church of Rome, because they were worshipping the Babylonian gods, and they did bring the Babylonian religion to Rome, and that's historical, and that's what Constantine was worshipping Mithras. So the point is that who's to say that the influences from Constantine, he saw a cross in the sky. How does he know that cross represented Christ? I mean, first of all, Christ was crucified on a tree. It was made into a full-blown cross later, but it was more like a T. Okay, that's just a historical fact. And he sees this cross in the sky, and there are ships that are shaped like crosses. So who's to say that he wasn't implanted by one of these aliens who want to enslave us, and they use religion to do it, okay? So when they're doing that, okay, they're also disconnecting people from who God really is. And they want because they want to be gods. Okay? So, these are questions that I put forth in my book series, and I give a lot of research to corroborate that this is part of this situation that we're all in here. So I ask you, how are aliens not a threat? Then, on the other hand, the Christians today who have basically figured out a few things about the Bible, and that these fallen angels turned into some of the demons that we have. We call them demons. Demons is a Greek word for intelligences. So we have artificial intelligences. We have the grays, which are kind of, there's 35 different species of grays. I documented this in my first book, which is an A to Z compendium on who are the ETs and the aliens. And the grays are hybrids, they're clones. You've got reptilian clones, grays, reptilian grays. You have insectoid grays. Some of them are, half artificial intelligence and half biological something, whether they got the DNA from the reptilians or the insectoids. The point is, those are the demons, okay? But they have been created by some other group. They can't propagate. They can't create themselves. And who is this other group? Well, we know that the reptilians control a lot of the grays. But then we also found out that so can the Nordic aliens, the tall blondes, the human-looking ones. They can control grays as well. So, and some of them, I even heard them say, it's quoted in my first book, that, they're kind of a common commodity. Like anybody meaning any ET, can have a gray. And of course, they've been depicted in like Star Wars, where you've got all these clones, and things can be cloned. So these are intelligences, okay? They're programmed, they're some of them artificial, some of them biological, some of them a bit of both. Those are the demons, okay? Now the reptilians, yes, they're also demonic in nature as well. And there's many different levels of them as well. So we know that there are a bunch of aliens that are classified as demons. But then again, you have all these ETs that are not. And I always tell Christians, do the math, okay? What does the Bible say? The Bible says that 1/3 of heaven's angels rebelled and fell, okay? And they fell out of their first estate, and some of them ended up in reptilian bodies. They possessed the reptilian race, the serpent race that God created. So when you have the scripture where the Lord promises to return and restore all of creation, what part of all don't they understand? So that means that some of them are going to get redeemed, okay? And that's my message, is that if Christians are supposed to be evangelical, then why are they denying other beings, okay, that could be part of God's plan for salvation, just like us? Why is it always all about us? Okay, and this is still, that narcissistic viewpoint that we're like the only ones here. It's all about us. Jesus came to save us and only us. Well, why did Jesus say in John 17 that he had sheep from another pasture that he had to go and prepare to bring back with him so that we can all be one under one shepherd? Who are these other sheep? He wasn't talking about Jews or Gentiles, because he already came for the lost house of Israel, and he already sent Paul out to preach to the Gentiles. This is another group of humans that are off this world, off planet, extraterrestrial. extraterrestrial to us, but they're still maybe human, okay? And that's another discernment that I question and offer in my first book. Is in order to discern anything, we have to identify it and use words. So I have basically identified an alien as anything that is a non-human intelligence, okay? And it's no coincidence that the scientists last year have determined that the octopus, a sea creature, is an alien creature, okay, that lives on Earth. And I'm sure there's plenty of others. So the point is that, you know, you don't have to be an ET to be an alien. There are aliens that live on Earth, okay? The Greys, the reptilians, they live inside the planet, and others as well. And that doesn't, that qualifies them as alien, but not necessarily extraterrestrial. And likewise, you don't have to be alien to be extraterrestrial, although people like to attach that word, because we attach that word to immigrants, you know. I mean, my husband from England, and they called him an alien, you know. Well, he does have some pointy ears, so maybe he looks a little alien. Just kidding. But the point is that there are extraterrestrials that are not alien to us. They're human. They're human extraterrestrials. So I always tell Christians, do the math. 1/3 of heaven's angels rebelled. What happened to the other 2/3? They stayed faithful. They continue to serve the kingdom of heaven. They continue to serve the King of the universe. And I don't think it's any coincidence that every single Jewish prayer that there is for every occasion, you name it, okay, always starts with Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, O Lord, our God, King of the universe. So ancient Jews recognized that there was a king, that there was a kingdom, and that's what's happening here on Earth, is that Earth is a clash of two kingdoms. And the end time prophecy, the quintessential end time prophecy, is the kingdom of heaven comes to earth. And it says that the Lord of hosts, Lord of celestial armies, returns with all the hosts of heaven. Those are all the good ETs, all the good aliens, if you want to use that word. Okay, and maybe some of them are, and I proved in my book series that there are aliens that actually serve the Lord. They serve the throne. They serve on his spaceships. Look at the books of Ezekiel, and even in Revelation, these alien creatures that are not human, they're not angelic, and they serve the Lord. So not all aliens are demons. Okay, so we have to stop talking in absolutes, okay, because it's just creates another form of bigotry, and it also blurs the lines of discernment. And I believe that is the muscle, the spiritual mental muscle, that and intuitive, that a lot of us are here to learn right now. So that's my message for today. It's getting hot out here. Thanks for listening, and cosmic blessings.